stories, and I had them in my head, and I'd tell them to everybody, and my wife would say, you should write a book. And I didn't want to write a book at that time because I thought, when you write a book, I think sometimes that changes the way people act around you because they're afraid, look out, he'll write something about this. But then we got to the lockout year, and we didn't know, are they going to come back? Are they going to come back next year? And I thought, well, I'm going to write this book. It didn't matter whether I sold one or not. I just wanted to have it in print, all of those stories. And I had so much fun writing them. I'd go up, I'd think of a story, and I'd sit down. My wife said, I'd wake up at 5 in the morning. Ooh, I just thought of a story. She'd say, well, you quit thinking of those stories at 5 a.m. And I'd go in and write it, and I wrote 110 stories. Not all of them made the book, but it was so much fun to recall some of those. The one that most people want to hear about is when Jack Kent Cooke owned the team. And he called me and my partner then, Dan Avey, into his office, and he said, I want you to run 14 30-second commercials every period. And they didn't stop the game in those days for TV timeouts or commercials. And I said, Mr. Cooke, we're running 4 now. And I said, there are games when we can hardly get 4 in. I don't think we can get 14. And Datsun was our main sponsor. Datsun is now Nissan. And he said, well then, for instance, you will mention the sponsor's name in a different way. You will say, there's Marcel Dionne scooting down the ice like a Datsun. What do you think of that? And I said, Mr. Cooke, I couldn't imagine ever saying that once, let alone 80 times a year. And he went, I almost lost my job over that. He said, get out of my sight. I'm sick of your attitude. And you know how many people want your job and they're that close to having it. Get out of my sight. And I stood up and he said, sit down. And so I was like a yo-yo. I was going up and down. And he said, at 2 o'clock, you better get back in here and tell me how you're going to do it. So we went back in and had a couple suggestions. The other one is Rich Marotta was